Yay! Welcome to this short video on how to consolidate multiple worksheets into one single worksheet on Masterfile using Power Query in Excel. So at the end of the year, your manager comes to you and say, yes, we want to do our yearly report. I want to see what our numbers look like from January till date. And you're like, yo, how do I do this? But Power Query to the rescue. Let's go. All right, so these are the files I'll be working with. So I have one Excel sheet for each month from January all the way to December. So I've tried to do a little numbering here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so just so that I can sort this in alphabetical order. So what I want to achieve is just a master file that has all the sales from January to December in one sheet, just so that I can do my analysis, my trend analysis, my revenue for the whole year, and all the other computations I want to do. So I'll just open one of these files so we get to see what we're working with. Typically all the files have the same structure for the year. So let me expand this a little bit. So I have row ID, other date, ship dates, etc till profit margin, and this is how all the files are structured. So what I want to achieve is I want to consolidate all of this into one master file, and then I want to be able to do an aggregation or a report at the end of the year. So what do I need to do? Let me close this. I just need to open a blank Excel sheet. So I have my blank Excel sheet, and then what do I need to do? New query, from file, from folder, and then this goes to where my folder is. So what I'm looking for is in downloads, sales report. This is my folder, and I do open. So I just wait for a couple of seconds for this to open up. All right, so I have it. I have all my Excel sheets all the way from January to December. Supposing my data is clean and doesn't need any transformation, I can just click on combine and just go straight ahead to combine the data, but I still need to do some transformation. So I just click on transform data to go into the Power Query editor. So this is my Power Query editor. I already have the content of my folders, the name, the extension, the date access, the modified, the date access, modified, and all set of data. But looking at this, I really don't need this much information. The only two columns I need is the content and the name. So I click on content, I hold down Control, click on name, right click and say remove other columns. After removing other columns, the next thing I want to do is to remove hidden tables from my data set. And you can see I have two January data, and one is the real file while one is the hidden file. So how do I do this? I click on the drop down, text filters does not contain. So I want to keep rows where name does not contain this sign, and I do OK. So I've successfully deleted my hidden data. The next thing I want to do is to remove the prefix and the suffix on the month name column. How do I do this? I go to the transform tab, go to extract text between delimiters. So I want to extract the text after space and before the period sign. So I put my start delimiter to space and then my end delimiter at period. So I say OK. So now I've been able to clean that column, and I have my January data all the way to September. This is not properly sorted, but we'll treat that later. Not to worry. So the next thing I want to do is to combine my queries. And how do I do that? I click on the arrow that says combine files. So let's do that and see what happens. So this is going to take a couple of seconds, and then now Power Query is asking me how do I want to combine my file. It's saying select the object to be extracted from each table. So because I have a sample file, which is my first file, and they all have the same structures, I can say click on sheet just to see a proper table view, and then I click OK. So what Power Query will try to do then is to combine all my sheets using the sample sheet that I've specified. This is going to take a couple of seconds again, and when it's done, as you can see, Power Query has created some helper columns or helper queries, and then I have my master query. And all of my data from January all the way to December or November, as we have in the data set, have been consolidated. So two things to note here. I have some helper queries here. So this is my sample file that Power Query originally transformed, and this is my monthly sales that has the combination of all of my data. In addition to the helper columns created, Power Query has also added some steps to the initial steps I created just to arrive at this. So let's just go back and see what Power Query did. So this is the last step we worked on. After that, Power Query invoked a custom function just to bring in the tables in those individual worksheets, removed other columns, expanded the table, and then changed type. But then we needed something that Power Query didn't give to us. We need to know, how do we identify the month that all of these data contain? And to do that, we only need to go 2 steps back into the query that was created for us. Right here we have the month name, the transform file, and the content. But when we came here, Power Query has removed other columns, but we need our month column. So what do? We can try to adjust these settings by clicking on this gearbox and say we also need our month name column. So we click on OK, and by the time we come to change type, we can see that our month names are here. Just to see, we can see that we now have all the months brought together and combined using Power Query. So now that our month column has been brought in, the next thing we want to do is to change name to month. And then just to confirm that we have the proper data type for all the column, we can just try to inspect. So our month name is supposed to be text, our row ID is numbers, order ID is text, order date and ship date are both dates, our shipment mode, segment, country, city, state are all text, our postal code is numbers. And just by looking at this, I can see that all the proper data formats have been done correctly. So the next thing we need to do is to load our data back into Excel. So I go back to Home tab, and then I click close and load. So I say close and load to. So there are 2 or 3 ways or 4 ways whereby you can load your data back into your Excel sheet. You can load at a table, which means that you are bringing all your combined data back into this table. I would advise not to do that unless you have a reason to. What I want to do is to only create connection and load our data to the data model. In some version of Excel, however, you can also see options to load to pivot table directly, because what we need to do is to analyze that data. We really don't need to bring back all the data back into our Excel sheet. So I'm going to say only create connection and add this data to data model. So I'll click on load, and if you look to the right, you will see that Power Query is trying to bring in my data, which is about 1,715 rows. So my data has been successfully loaded back into my Excel sheet. So the next thing I would like to do is to go to the Insert tab, click on Pivot Table just to see a view of what my data or my combined data looks like. So I want to use this workbooks data model, and I want to put my pivot table on this sheet. So I'll say OK, and then my pivot table field comes up. So what I want to do is to drag my months to my rows and I want to see, let's say I want to see sales, and I want to see my profit margin. So I have my sum of sales and then I have my profit margin. My profit margin is supposed to be in percentage. I like this, go to home and click on percentage. But now there's a problem. I'm having 3,000% margin, 2,943% margin. That obviously is wrong. And the reason why that is wrong is because my pivot table is trying to sum my margins, and really that is not what I want to do. What I want to do is to do an average of the margin by month. So I go to value field settings and I choose to summarize my values by average. So once I click OK, I have my proper profit margin. I can highlight this also, click on comma just to format my data properly. There's one thing missing. My data is aggregated or sorted by date. I want to sort this by month. How do I do that? I can click on this drop down. I want to sort. If I sort A to Z, I'll have January, February, March, and April. And then your data sorts automatically. But there's one more thing. If you look at what we have here, I only have 11 months here, January till November. So I didn't get my December sales figures on time. Now, someone just sent me a mail, the December figures are ready. Can you please incorporate this? Typically, if all of these transformations have been done manually or in typical Excel, you will see that I have to go through all of these steps again just to get in my December data. But with Power Query, that is not so, because all my steps have been recorded. What do I need to do? I only need to go back to where my December data is, which is here. I copy my December data, go into my month folder, paste it here, go back into my query or my Excel sheet, right click and refresh. And if you wait for just a couple of seconds, you will see that my December data, boom, is here. That is what Power Query can do for you. The next thing you need to do, save this file and send this to your boss. And it's probably going to give you a raise, because this task should have cost me 3 to 5 days working 9 to 5 just to put that together. But I did all of this in less than 10 minutes. Thank you, Power Query. Thank you for watching my video. From time to time, I post videos like this on Power Query, on Excel, and Power BI. If you're looking forward to more content like this, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my